Support the Duck Lord. Hit like, subscribe, and get notified. Man of Steel, Zack Snyder's dark and brooding attempt at rebooting Superman, drenched in muted colors, existential angst, and enough disaster porn that Michael Bay would be like, damn, that's excessive. But beneath all the city-leveling chaos and broody stares, it also serves as a not-so-subtle allegory about the dangers of illegal immigration. Clark Kent, mild-mannered farm boy raised by parents who couldn't decide if he should be a hero or let innocent people die. He spends most of his life wandering from job to job like a really jacked drifter. Eventually, he stumbles upon his real heritage and learns he's not just some rando farm kid, but that he's Kal-El, last son of Krypton and Earth's most powerful illegal alien. Lois Lane, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, professional snoop, and the only person in this movie with basic investigative skills. While everyone else is too blind to notice the 6'3" superpowered farm boy wandering around, Lois sniffs out Superman's identity in record time because nothing gets past her except personal safety. Jonathan and Martha Kent, the well-meaning but wildly inconsistent parents of Clark. Martha is the supportive mom who tells Clark to just be himself. Jonathan, on the other hand, takes parenting cues from a How to Traumatize Your Kid handbook. Martha spends the movie being the calm, collected rock in Clark's life, while Jonathan spends it gaslighting him into questioning whether saving people is even a good idea. Jor-El, husband, scientist, warrior, deadbeat dad, literally launched his kid into space and called it a day. Instead of escaping with his son or finding another way to save his people, he put all of Krypton's future in one space bassinet and peaced out. But don't worry, he's still super involved. He uploads his consciousness into a flash drive to drop some exposition and hand over a cape. Father of the Year. Zod, Kryptonian general, border patrol officer, and full-time megalomaniac. His entire mission? Hunt down Superman, the last of his kind, and either force him to comply or wipe him out. And, just for good measure, a little invasion thrown in with a whole lot of yelling, zero patience and zero chill. The movie kicks off on Krypton and the birth of Jor-El's son, Kal-El. Apparently, Kal-El is the first natural-born Kryptonian in centuries, which apparently makes him super special, probably because he was the most fun to make. The planet is about to go full Pompeii, but instead of doing something useful like, evacuating, its brilliant leaders chose extreme procrastination. Zod, the wannabe dictator with genocidal tendencies, looks around at this planetary disaster and thinks, you know what this situation really needs? A coup. He blames Krypton's fall on weak leaders. And honestly, he's not wrong. They had centuries to fix their planet, but treated it like a check engine light, ignored it until it went up in flames. While Zod is declaring himself ruler of a burning world, Jor-El engages in a climatic dragon chase sequence to retrieve the Kryptonian Codex, a literal USB stick of genetic data containing all the knowledge of his people, because a flash drive full of DNA blueprints is going to be more useful than actual living Kryptonians escaping to another planet. Jor-El decides to inject his newborn son with the entire genetic history of their species, like he's giving him the world's most overpowered vaccine. Congratulations, Kal. You're now a walking, talking, super-powered USB drive for an extinct civilization. Just as little Kal-El's ship blasts off, Zod bursts in just seconds too late to stop it. His reaction? An absolutely priceless look of rage and disappointment. After Jor-El kicks his ass, Zod takes a cheap shot and murders him, because if you can't rule a dying planet, you might as well commit a little homicide on the way out. With Jor-El dead, the Kryptonian authorities, in a stunning display of finally doing something, capture Zod and his fellow space fascists. Zod and his minions get flash frozen into a pack of dildos and shot into space jail just before Krypton does its impression of an overcooked Hot Pocket. The Kryptonians send Zod and his crew to the Phantom Zone, which hilariously saves them from the planet's imminent destruction. Krypton is a cautionary tale of bureaucrats too busy smelling their own farts to save their people. Honestly, they deserve to explode. The real tragedy isn't their demise, but their wasted chances. But hey, we got Superman out of it, so thanks for the sacrifice. Every hero's journey has a beginning, and for Clark, it starts with his complete inability to pretend he's normal. One day, plot convenience sends a school bus careening off a bridge and into a river. Clark, instead of waiting for rescue like a normal kid, decides, nah, fuck subtlety, and straight up lifts the entire bus in front of all his classmates. Because nothing says low-profile alien like a 12-year-old showing off godlike strength in broad daylight. One snitch-prone kid, Pete Ross, instantly tells his mommy, who then heads to the Kent house with a reasonable statement.
Your kid lifted a whole bus out of a river.
Can we really believe what Pete says? He sniffs glue.
He hasn't done that in years.
Cue Jonathan taking Clark aside for the worst parental gaslighting in cinema history.
Oh, Clark, you have to keep this side of yourself a secret.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe.
Yes, folks, you heard that right. Jonathan Kent's grand parenting strategy is let innocent children drown to protect your secret. Solid plan, Dad. What's next? It's not like Jonathan would risk his own life to prove a point, right? Cut to the most unnecessary death in comic book movie history. Jonathan risks his own life to prove a point. Your son has super speed, super strength. He could save your ass in a split second. And what does Jonathan do? He decides that this tornado is the hill he should die on. He gives the dumbest "no son, let me die" hand gesture ever filmed, like he's waving off some friggin' over-attentive waiter. He allows himself to be gloriously yeeted into oblivion. Apparently having a super son also means embracing unnecessary fatalism. Fast forward to adulthood, where our hero has fully embraced the dark and gritty Superman Begins phase of his life. He sees an oil refinery where an explosion has trapped some workers. But what should Clark do? Instead of behaving like a normal person, Clark goes full fireproof Greek god mode, crushes the door like a can of Coors, and walks through an inferno shirtless, like he's auditioning for a firefighter calendar. Next, he takes a job at a bar where he gives a masterclass in restraint and petty revenge. As with all superhero movies, the hero will usually have to deal with some douchebag, so the douche picks a fight with Clark, because nothing screams good idea like picking on a 6'3" wall of muscle. Clark, being the embodiment of self-control, takes all the abuse without fighting back, because, you know, punching a guy's head off might raise suspicions. And Clark doesn't want to raise a little suspicion, he wants to raise a lot. He walks out of the bar and absolutely annihilates the douche's semi-truck, impaling it with telephone poles and twisting it into modern art. Cut to Lois Lane doing a story about an alien ship frozen in the Arctic. She notices Clark just unsuspiciously wandering around, dressed like it's a spring day in Connecticut. Naturally, Lois follows, because when has breaking and entering ever stopped a determined journalist? She sneaks into the Kryptonian ship, where the security droid lays the Kryptonian smack down on her ass. Clark hears the attack. Little does he know, saving Lois is his full-time job now. But what should Clark do? He ignores that little voice in his head and crushes the security droid right in front of her. Gone are the days when Clark was played as a guy who vehemently tried to protect his secret identity, catching a bullet then passing out. Simple touches, because the point of a secret identity is keeping it a secret. Lois, 100% convinced she's found sexy Bigfoot, is determined to show she's the only person in this universe to pass dot connecting 101 in elementary school. Within one montage, she tracks down his entire life story. The entire movie could have ended right here if she had been allowed to publish her findings, but whatever. She's like,
This alien is pretty hot, and I haven't been laid in 3 years.
Lois marches into the Daily Planet office and immediately demands to run a story about the suspicious alien space hunk who saved her life. Perry Black, the editor-in-chief, is absolutely not here for Lois's nonsense. He listens to her insane pitch, then shuts it down faster than Krypton's environmental policies. So Clark gets a TED Talk from his long-lost space dad, Jor-El, who appears as a hologram because casting Russell Crowe was too good to waste on just a one-and-done death scene. He'll be around whenever the plot needs some connective tissue. Jor-El gives Clark the full backstory: Krypton, Zod, the Amazon Prime baby rocket escape pod, and the Cape. Cue the first flight scene. Clark, now Superman, clumsily launches himself into the sky. He smashes into mountains, crushes the ground around him, and proves he's truly an illegal alien by lowering land values. Eventually, Zod shows up doing his best impression of a Kryptonian ice agent, demands that Earth stop being a sanctuary planet, turn over Kal-El or face destruction, and no federal funding. Superman, proving his commitment to being anti-inconspicuous, proceeds to defend his home by engaging in the single most destructive superhero battle ever put to film. Before things get really out of hand, Superman has his first real showdown with Zod's goon squad in the peaceful corn-fed town of Smallville. Superman, fresh off of literally never fighting anyone in his life, decides this is a great time to start throwing punches. Zod's second in command, Feora, and some nameless supersized rando grunt proceed to tag team Superman and turn Smallville into Monday Night Raw. But the attacks aren't limited to just Superman. The Kryptonians direct their ire towards the soldiers and causes one to fall from the chopper. What should Superman do? Ignore his father's gaslighting, of course. After Smallville gets a free destruction-themed makeover, Zod decides, screw subtlety, let's just terraform the whole damn planet. Enter the World Engine, a device that turns Earth into Krypton by slamming a Kryptonian laser dick into the ground and causing earthquakes, gravity shifts, and a destructive planetary orgasm. As buildings crumble like 100-story Jenga towers, Superman, Lois, and some rando scientists figure out that they can reverse the Phantom Drive and use it to suck up the Kryptonians like a golf ball through a garden hose. Now, if you thought Superman had already caused enough damage, buckle up, it gets worse. Superman and Zod, who obviously never saw an episode of Dragon Ball and agree to take this fight anywhere less populated, engage in the most unnecessarily destructive one-on-one battle in superhero history. For a guy who's supposed to love humanity, didn't think twice about throwing Zod through over 30 skyscrapers, turning Metropolis into a crime scene. Thousands, if not millions of people die as Superman and Zod engage in what was basically a Kryptonian steel cage death match. They punch each other through skyscrapers, office buildings, satellites. The only thing they didn't punch through was the script, because clearly no one thought to edit this shit. At this point, people have to be wondering, who's the real villain here? Cue the most dramatic and controversial moment of the film. Zod is about to use his heat vision to barbecue some rando family. Clearly there are no other possible solutions, such as flying Zod into space, knocking him out, covering his eyes with his super hands. What should Superman do? He snaps his neck. He snaps his friggin' neck. Gee, hopefully there are no kids around. In an emotional moment, Superman lets out a guttural wail. Clearly, in emotional agony, the film lets the audience know it's okay to kill someone when you've tried nothing else and you're out of ideas. Lois rushes over to comfort the hope of humanity, who has just committed Kryptonian on Kryptonian murder, and in doing so, fostered a negative stereotype.
That's the reason Kryptonians can't have good shit. They killing each other, man. They killing each other.
Congratulations, Superman. You saved Metropolis by completely annihilating Metropolis. So what have we learned? Superman really needs to take a class on conflict resolution skills. Never treat planetary destruction like a minor inconvenience. It can literally blow up in your face. Metropolis's city planner is about to ask for a raise. If you're a parent telling your child good deeds are a bad idea, you might be a gaslighter. In the name of truth, justice, and the American way, I score this movie 3 out of 5 neck snaps. It's flawed, but I still love it. And that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this episode, hit like, subscribe, and follow me on X. See you next time. Same Duck Lord, same Duck Roast.